What's going on with it, y'all? Welcome back to another edition of Gen Sports Corner. Back at you for 12/5/2021. Big fight happening last night. Obviously, the Eagles game going on today with the New York Jets and then my Raiders versus the Washington football team. But today is about boxing, so let's talk about it. Big fight last night. Devin Haney versus JoJo Diaz on his own boxing. Very good matchup. JoJo was going after Devin Haney's WBC lightweight belt. Devin Haney came out with the dub in a unanimous decision. Really good fight, highly entertaining, high-level boxing. So let's go into it. I liked what I saw out of both fighters. JoJo Diaz coming up in weight. He looked good in his last couple fights. He's undefeated. He's a very good young fighter. I've seen a lot of his fights. And Devin Haney, he's a dream, man. He's coming up, right? So he's got that WBC strap. We saw the fight previously, not with him, but with Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos Jr., where Kambosos came out with the upset for all three of Teofimo's titles and the Ring magazine lightweight belt. So he was in attendance at the fight. He was actually on the announcers panel, and he was giving his feedback on it. It was really cool to see. And this fight played out pretty well. So round one, Haney came out, dictated pace, really came out with good energy, good jab, good movement and whatnot. And JoJo came out in the high guard and really was trying to gauge distance and timing. I liked what I seen from JoJo. He didn't come out reckless, didn't come out to try to get into a firefight. Second round, he came out being a little more calculated, closing distance a little bit more. He would come into that mid-range to close range against Haney. I like where Haney, he wasn't trying to let JoJo even try to get comfortable within close range, but JoJo would come into close range, slip a feint in here and there, and then he wouldn't throw. He was really trying to gauge Devin Haney's response. I thought that was very, very smart of him. Very, very smart. And then third round, he came out and he started throwing some combinations, but really just like a jab here, a body shot there, maybe a 1-2. They both seemed like they really respected each other's counter punching capabilities. So it showed you what level of respect each one of these fighters had for the other. But you started to see JoJo start to work the body a little bit, have some success. He didn't win the round, but he definitely made it a highly competitive one in the third one against Devin Haney. And then round four, I thought by far was JoJo's best round of the fight up to that point. And he came out and really established some good things, landed some good shots. So I had it 3-1 after 4 rounds through a third of the fight. And then in those middle rounds, Devin Haney, he responded back very well. Very, very well. So a lot of back and forth. I thought that Devin Haney was winning the rounds. He was racking up points. He was throwing a lot of punches. He wasn't landing all of them around the high guard, but he was staying active enough and landing enough where he was able to win those rounds, even though JoJo was very competitive in those rounds. So it's really a testament to both fighters. You're talking about Devin Haney, who came into this fight with a 7-inch reach advantage, even though I think he's only maybe an inch or two taller than JoJo. He had a 71-inch reach, and JoJo has about a 64, maybe 65-inch reach. So huge disparity there. So for JoJo to get on the inside, I was very impressed with that veteran mentality that he had. And one thing I will say is that he did not open up and throw his hands as much as he needed to. He did put hands on Haney at time. And there were some points in the fight, especially I think the 9th or 10th round, maybe 11th, where he landed some very slick looping left shots. He landed one really good left hook, and then he landed another straight left. And especially in that, I think 11th and 12th round, there were points where Devin Haney got hurt. He didn't show it too much, but you could tell he got a little buzzed from a few of those left-hand shots that JoJo hit him with. And to his credit, he kept his composure and responded back in kind. So overall, I had Devin Haney winning this fight 9-3 or 117-111 on the scorecards. The judges saw it the way I did as well. 2 judges saw it 117 to 111, and 1 judge had it 116 112. I could have seen it 116 to 112, i.e., 8 to 4 as well. But I thought Devin Haney had a very impressive win over a very tough opponent. And ironically, Sean Porter was at that fight commentating. And the story of Sean Porter's career is, to me, a great fighter that, in my opinion, I thought he earned the victory over Keith Thurman, even though that's not the way it showed up on the scorecards. But anytime you fought Sean Porter, if you beat him, it's because you were exceptional. And the only guys that beat him were exceptional fighters. So the same thing about JoJo Diaz, or like a Paulie Malignaggi, right? JoJo Diaz, his losses have been to exceptional fighters. One of them being Devin Haney. He's only, what is JoJo Diaz? I think, is he 36-2? Something like that. Excuse me. JoJo Diaz, let's see. Okay, excuse me. He is 32-2 with 1 draw. He was 32-1 coming into the fight. Phenomenal record, right? So his only other loss was to Gary Russell Jr., another phenomenal fighter at featherweight. Because he beat Tevin Farmer. So that should tell you a lot, dude. To win that IBF super featherweight title. I think at 135, super featherweight, yeah. And then he went on and moved up in 2021. So they'll probably look for some bigger fights. So you're talking about a guy who's a former champion, and he didn't lose the belt. He moved up. He won the... That's crazy, because JoJo won the lightweight title, the WBC lightweight title, and he lost it on the scales. So it is his fault that he lost the title, but he beat a very good fighter in Javier Fortuna. The fight was open, and like they said on the broadcast, he put his hand up. No hesitation, no questions asked. Like, I'm ready. And fortune favors the brave, and it paid off for him. When Devin Haney needed an opponent, I know JoJo, let me look at this, because I think JoJo was supposed to fight somebody. I don't know the backstory behind this. I think maybe it was Devin Haney was supposed to fight somebody, and they had to. JoJo was supposed to be fighting Ryan Garcia, but then Ryan Garcia had the broken hand, the injured hand, and so that then led up to Diaz having to find a new opponent, and he was like, "What? I'm gonna go after Devin Haney. And hey, even in this loss, he gained a lot of fans. And hell, most of the people there were cheering for JoJo Diaz, which is crazy coming in the fight. Like, hey, he earned a lot of respect from me. Great fight there. So the next fight, and they talked about it, Kambosos said, hey, you have the last strap at lightweight. I want to have the next fight in Australia. I'll be happy to have that fight with you. And Devin Haney, they asked him about it in the ring post-fight, and he said, look, I'll fight him on Jupiter. So, hey, Eddie Hearn, go ahead and make it happen. Make it happen. Talk to Kambosos' promoter. Make it happen, man. That's the fight we would love to see for Undisputed at lightweight. Get on the phone with Ludabella. Let's get it popping. So, great night of boxing last night. And then just to touch on the fight from the previous week with George Kambosos Jr. and Teofimo Lopez. It got delayed because of the COVID-19 that Lopez contracted back in June, back in the summer. That's when the fight was supposed to happen. But it ended up happening in December. And really, really interesting fight. Big knockdown in round 1. Teo came out like a man on fire and was all over Kambosos. And Kambosos caught him with a good counter shot and dropped him down the first round. And then from that point on, he really seemed like he was comfortable in there with Teo. He didn't overestimate him. He didn't underestimate him. He went in there with a certain purpose, and he got it the F done, man. I was very, very proud of what he did. He made a new fan out of me. I'd never heard of the guy before, but The guy got cojones. He came in there and walked out with all 3 belts, all 4 belts, including the Ring Magazine lineal title. And he taking that shit back down under. So whoever trying to see him, go ahead, see him. Hopefully it'll be Devin Haney in the next fight. And Teo, look, maybe he needed that experience to be humble. Hopefully he's able to sit back and reevaluate exactly what went on leading up to and during that fight and really be able to be honest with himself and get back on track and go back and compete again. Now, there was news that came out that he had air around the chest cavity outside of the lungs, which is very dangerous. So fortunately, there were no complications. He didn't get hit in a bad way that would have caused him to be in all sorts of trouble. But that was an article that was actually an interview done recently, and a doctor was talking about that, looking at his chart work and saying, dude, you're lucky to be alive if you got hit in a certain way, because air is not supposed to be outside of the lungs in the chest cavity, putting pressure around the lungs themselves and the heart. You get hit a certain way, then obviously you can have a collapsed lung, because that's internal pressure being put on the lung on top of external pressure, i.e. from a punch. Bad things could happen. So fortunately, he's okay there, but definitely I would say the father needs a huge slice of humble pie, And we've been seeing a lot of interesting father-son dynamics, whether it be Sean Porter with the, in my opinion, premature stoppage by Kenny Porter, Teofimo Lopez's father, and then, you see a very good dynamic between Devin Haney and his father. At one point, his father fired himself from the team and said, hey, maybe you might think about looking for a new trainer. If you don't find anybody that you think can take you to the next level, I'm more than happy to continue in that capacity. So, in my opinion, that is a situation where the father-son dynamic seems to work very well, because there's a mutual respect and they both have a reverence for each other. He's not trying to overstep his boundaries, and his son respects that. And it seems like they have a really good situation working out there. So hopefully they have continued success. And I hope to see a great fight between him and George Kambosos Jr. But that's it for this episode. I wanted to really get heavy into boxing and talk about some of the things that were going on. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I will be talking about the upcoming fight with Vasyl Lomachenko and Richard Kami. That's going to be a big one. Richard Kami ranked number 7 in the lightweight rankings, and Vasyl Lomachenko is currently number 3. I mean, right now you have Devin Haney, and now at the top, George Kambosos Jr. So we'll see how that fight shakes out. Big boxing coming up. They had a good year this year in terms of boxing. Really good year, so I'm excited for this. Let me know what you guys think, and I'm going to get ready for this Eagles game. Check my last video for my predictions for the Eagles and the Raiders this weekend. We're going to stay on it. Enjoy your Sunday. Catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.